G'day guys, in today's video I've got a TCL 20 Lite Plus, or a 20 Lite, I'm not too sure, both of which take the exact same part, which is this here. I've currently got it on my blue heat pad at 75 or around 75 degrees Celsius, heating up the back so the adhesive comes off easier. I'm also going to be using isopropyl alcohol to get into it a bit easier. And when I finally go to screw or glue the replacement screen in, I'll be using some B7000 frame adhesive. That usually works fairly well. So let's get into it. So right now, it's been on my heat pad. I'm going to use a metal pry tool just to get in a small gap. I'll start up this corner here, and I'll just try and pry in between it. I'm not sure if this is a plastic back or a ceramic back. I'm assuming it's going to be a flexible plastic back, just by the cheapness of the phone. And that is lifting just fine. That's giving me somewhere to put my thin metal pry tool in. Put it in here like that. And I should be able to snake my way around the outer perimeter without too much drama. At least that's what I'm expecting. Right now it's not cooperating, so I'll probably switch back. Get some alcohol on here. And that's going to make the stickiness of the adhesive be temporarily lost. That combined with the heat should get me in there. Okay, that's getting off ridiculously easy. Like so. Okay, so that has plenty of flexibility in it, so when you do go to take it off, you don't have to be too concerned. Next up from here, I'm going to have to take this whole frame off, then I'll take the battery out, and then I should be able to feed this in and through. Being a relatively cheap phone, it is using fairly large, or what I would classify as large Phillips head screws, compared to something like an iPhone, which uses much smaller screws. I will also have to take the SIM tray out soon. Not just yet, but soon, once I've undone all these screws. Also, being a cheaper phone, I'm going to expect that all these screws here are virtually going to be identical. Usually the cheaper phones, they tend to use the same screws for everything, which is convenient in the sake of if you don't have to actually remember where you got the screws from. Take that one out. Now if I flick it around the side and take out these ones here. As I say, there's two screws there that are slightly different. This one here with a bit of blue on it, and all the other ones seem to be relatively coarse. As I say, that other way around. So far I've got one like this. It's probably going to bite into plastic. And the rest look like they actually go into a screw or into a nut. But I'll figure that out on the way back. Go. Now I'm going to take the SIM tray out. SIM tray out. And I'm going to assume this body lifts up. We're going to take this off first, as it does look like it's connected to the power cable. Like that. Flick that cable up, feed it back out. There we go. If you don't do that, you risk damaging your power button, volume up, volume down. If you do that, turning the phone on is going to be a lot harder without that part. So now I'm just using the slightly thicker pry tool. I know we looked at the power button over this side, so you may be able to get away with damaging the other side. You will lose some functions though. There we go. Looking from here, this will feed up and connect to there. Disconnect the battery. There should potentially be a pull tab somewhere on this battery to lift it up. This here will be the next major challenge here. I'm going to cheat and use isopropyl alcohol, as that will make the battery lift up quite nice and easy. Otherwise, without heat or isopropyl, removing this battery will be fairly challenging. As I say that, I found the pull tab, did I? Nope, it didn't want to last for me. That's using a fair bit of torque there to lift that up. There we go. And we're out. There wasn't that much adhesive on there, but so it's left down here. Next up, I flick this up. Take off this adhesive. Now the screen's still getting heated up to 75 degrees, so the front of this is still very hot. What I tend to do in this particular instance is flip it over, and this works sometimes, not all the time, but I push through the back gap, like so. If I'm lucky, it comes out cleanly. If I'm not, like this instance, it just gets destroyed. Just means more cleanup. There we go. So the top half came out relatively clean, the bottom did not. I will need a dustpan and brush to clean this up. Now from here I'm going to use a small flathead screwdriver to go around the outer perimeter. That should knock out most of that glass. It does have glue on it. I don't know why it's got glue on it. And I just want to clean up the frame. I will go over this with a toothbrush. I find after flicking all the glass fragments out, you don't want any left behind. Usually going over with a toothbrush does help clear it out. Rightio, so I'm pretty happy with that now. Just feeling on the outer perimeter, see if I can feel any bits still left there. And now I go over it with a toothbrush, just to get any of those potential extremely fine particles out of there, which don't compress when you put the screen on. So it's best to get them out now, or else you risk damaging a new part when you go to install it. I'm going to put that aside, clean up this, and then I'll be sticking the screen down. Now there is a little bit of mesh up the top there, but I'm not going to bother transferring it, as it is fairly minute. Just see it just here. There we go, that's it, pulled away. And potentially destroyed. So that I'm going to leave off. This bit comes off here. And I've got two choices of sticking this down. One, I can either put it around the frame on here, or I can just put it around the frame on here. I'm going to choose with here just because it's going to be easier for me to do. And the quality of it's still going to be exactly the same. Do be cautious up the very top. There is a couple of sensors that will probably need to be left viewable. So I tend to put a very thin amount of glue over that before starting to get a bit wild around the sides. Go. There. Put a little bit on here too, so it stops any potential dust getting to the front-facing sensor. Getting there. There we go. Pretty happy with that. Now I should just be able to feed this through. Line it up down the bottom. Line it up the top. Push down and just slowly pinch it around it. Don't pinch it too hard. If there is any glass fragments on there, you will break it. So I find that if you just do it delicately and work your way around, it'll give you an idea if there's anything there, because it should start sitting relatively flat against the main body. And from here, I should be able to lay it down. Then to connect up the connector, I hold it over the top, wiggle it a little bit, and I should be able to push and snap it into position. There we go. That's connected, and then from here, with a little bit of sag on the cable, I tend to start at here and push it forward, and then fold it down. Let's put the lid back on my glue. The ribbon cable should look kind of like that. Flat and then folded up here. Now from here, battery back in. And connected. There we go, push down. Next up, we've got the back trim to go back on. Now looking around, I'm just trying to spot the spots that look like they had the thick, coarse screws. Which I'd say is mostly like here, for example, as opposed to over here. The ones with blue, I'm assuming, would go into like this section here, but let's find out along the way. Granted, the length of the screws is virtually the same. And you may use this time to also clean out the charger port while you've got it apart. A pair of tweezers. Very thin pair of tweezers, but tweezers nonetheless. There we go, this is all lined up. Make sure your buttons still click before you start screwing it together. Connect that one back up. Put this back over. Which way? This bit slots under first by the looks of it. Let's see how we go. Push. Yep, that cover's back on. There may be 4 cameras, but I'm assuming they're four not overly great cameras, as it is a budget phone. Now it's a matter of putting these screws back in. Put the coarse one up here. And the coarse one here. So I'm assuming it's going to go down to the very bottom over here. There. And a matter of these ones. So the thin blue one, I guess we'll go down to here. This one here with a bit of blue on them. Should be able to tell as you're screwing it up how tight it feels, and also if you tighten it up and it doesn't really feel like it's actually going in, you've probably got the screw in the wrong spot. Or if it just kind of pushes in without actually really screwing it, it's probably in the wrong spot as well. I'll leave you to be the judge of that one. Granted, all these screws are probably going to go back in anyway, no matter where you put them. Like that one there doesn't want to go in, as I say that. That was a coarse screw. So I'll change that to one of the thinner spread screws. That screwed in just fine there. That one doesn't want to screw in here. So I'd say these 4 across here look to be the thinner blue ones. Try the thicker coarse one here. Yep. I've got 1 screw left and I can't see where he wants to go. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much all them back in. Now I've got a back cover to go on. Still a little bit tacky, but I'm going to put some frame adhesive around it first, just so I'm happy with it. Just to double it up a little. So that should be fine. This bit on to take off. It's not an overly waterproof phone, but best put back what I can. Go. Flip this over. Push it down. Push it together. I'm going to put it in its phone cover for a bit. Let it cool, and then from there I'll give it a try. We do have a bit of excess glue coming out the sides here, which is perfectly expected using that frame adhesive. Should just brush off pretty straightforwardly. And I hope that helps replacing the TCL 20 Lite Plus or TCL 20 Lite. This also has the model number T775H. Hope this helps, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.